happened last weekend in Las Vegas. And I want to begin by quoting the lead guitarist of one of the country music bands that played before Jason Aldean and the carnage that we've watched in the footage. This is a guitarist named Caleb Keeter. I'm quoting something he said. "I've been a proponent of the Second Amendment my entire life. Until the events of last night, I cannot express how wrong I was. Enough is enough. We need gun control right now. My biggest regret is that I stubbornly didn't realize it until my brothers on the road and myself were threatened by it." So here's, as he says, a lifelong Second Amendment supporter confronted with the level of this violence, this automatic gunfire. You know more than anybody in this room what automatic weapons can do. You've seen them chew up human beings in Iraq and Afghanistan. So let me ask you whether in the aftermath of this you've had new reflections of your own, and in particular whether you'd be willing to support controls on these so-called bump stock conversion kits that turn what are supposedly not automatic weapons into ones that can fire this way.
Well, first, David, let me just express my deepest condolences and sympathies to the loved ones and families and friends of everyone who was murdered or injured in this terrible mass murder episode. I think it's too soon to draw conclusions because the investigation is ongoing. I've seen media reports, but I haven't seen confirmed official reports of exactly what happened, what kinds of firearms were fired, how they were obtained, and so forth. Automatic weapons have been strictly regulated in this country for 80 years. They've been nearly prohibited for 30 years since the 1986 amendments to the National Firearms Act. You can still buy ones that were in circulation for 1986, but it's under very strict government regulation, even stiffer background check. I'm not sure if the shooter had one of those or not. I haven't seen reports of that. You would think that government records would indicate if he did. I'd be willing to entertain any kind of device that turns a semi-automatic weapon, which is defined simply as one pull of the trigger equals one round discharge, into an automatic weapon, which means one pull of the trigger equals an unlimited number of rounds discharge until your ammunition is expired or until your barrel overheats. For the same reasons that we strictly control automatic weapons in this country. We'll wait for the conclusions of the investigation to come forward and see what the current law says and what authorities the ATF has, but I'd be willing to entertain those.
So I don't think I've seen your name publicly identified with this idea that perhaps we should have new controls on these conversion kits. So that to me is...
Well, I would say too that we shouldn't necessarily expect to change the world with these kind of steps, though. Look, again, the media reports say, they've not been verified, so I can't speak for certain, but the media reports say that this man had no criminal record, he had no history of mental illness, he passed every background check that was required when he bought those firearms. Bump firing is not a new thing, nor do you need a conversion kit or a stock to do that. I saw lots of skilled soldiers who can go to the firing range and take a M4, which is the military version of an AR-15, and empty a magazine through bump firing. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's something that can be done just through skilled marksmanship, not through a technique. So again, we shouldn't expect to change the world with these things, but it's something that we should consider once we have all the facts and circumstances at hand.